From female golfers absolutely humiliating each other, to cheating scandals that led to immediate disqualifications. These are the most controversial incidents in women's golf. You know what's funny? When a 23-year-old can shoot a 64 and nobody wants to talk about her scorecard. At the 2026 Australian WPGA Championship at Sanctuary Cove, English golfer Annabelle Fuller posted the best round of her season and finished T7. Great story, right? Except the internet didn't care about her game, it cared about her stomach. Fuller wore a crop top during competition, and suddenly every golf account on the planet had an opinion. The thing is, this debate didn't start with Fuller, it's been simmering for years. Back in 2017, the LPGA cracked down with a stricter dress code, banning plunging necklines, leggings as standalone pants, and skirts that showed the bottom area. First offense, $1,000 fine. Second, $2,000. It doubles every time after that. Michelle Wie felt personally targeted, admitting some of her outfits had raised eyebrows with the tour all year. She fired back in the off-season by posting herself in a crop top on Instagram with the caption, "Off-season equals no dress code fines." Lexi Thompson did the same thing. Paige Spiranak went further, calling the whole policy glorified body shaming, arguing that curvier players would be punished more often than smaller-framed ones. Charlie Hull called it a shame and said it reinforced golf's reputation as old-fashioned. Fuller wasn't having any of it either. She pointed out that tennis players wear far less and nobody blinks. Her response was simple. As long as I'm comfy and I feel good about myself, then I feel good to play. She didn't violate a single rule, but the internet had already made its ruling, and as usual, it had nothing to do with golf. Next up, you know it's a bad week when the biggest controversy at a golf tournament has nothing to do with golf. February 2026, the LPGA season opener at Lake Nona, Orlando. The $2.1 million Hilton Grand Vacations Tournament of Champions. Nelly Korda, winless for 14 months, fires an absurd 8 under 64 on Saturday in brutal conditions, beating the field average by 9 strokes. She takes a 3-shot lead. All she needs is a Sunday round to cap the comeback properly. She never got it. Temperatures plunged into the 20s overnight. The greens froze so hard that balls bounced on impact. Caddies poured water onto putting surfaces and watched it turn to ice. Officials pushed back the start 4 separate times, 10 a.m., 11 a.m., noon, 1 p.m., before finally announcing at 2:15 that the tournament was being cut to 54 holes. No final round, season over before it really started. Here's the kicker. While the pros sat around waiting, the celebrities in the exhibition kept playing. Annika Sorenstam, 55 years old, finished 9 holes and called the conditions very playable. Nasa Hataoka asked the obvious question, if the celebrities can play, why can't we? Lydia Ko, who'd led after rounds 1 and 2 before a rough back 9 dropped her to 5th, was gutted. Danielle Kong torched the decision on Instagram. New Commissioner Craig Kessler, just 7 months into the job, eventually apologized, admitting the tour lacked a proper war room and had no creative backup plan. Korda won her 16th title on the driving range, watching it happen on her phone. Not exactly the storybook ending anyone wanted. Coming in next, slow play is golf's oldest complaint, but 72 seconds over a single tee shot? That's a new level. April 2026. The Augusta National Women's Amateur at Champions Retreat. USC Junior. Bailey Shoemaker steps up to the par 3 8th, addresses the ball, and just stands there. 7 waggles, multiple half swings. She pulls the club back, stops, resets. Does it again and again. 1 minute and 12 seconds pass before the ball finally leaves the club face. It lands 25 feet from the hole. By the time she walked off the tee, the clip was already everywhere. The backlash was instant. Thousands of comments, quote tweets, the whole routine. Slow play is the easiest target in golf, and a 72-second shot on national TV during the biggest women's amateur event in the world? That's basically volunteering to be the villain. But most of those people skipped the context. Shoemaker had surgery just 5 months earlier for cubital tunnel syndrome in her right arm. Before that, she spent 7 months playing through pain so severe her fingers would involuntarily come off the club mid-swing. The arm healed. The trust in it didn't. Her USC coach called her one of the fastest players I've ever coached before the injury. This is the same player who shot a record 66 at Augusta National 2 years ago. She wasn't stalling. She was trying to convince her own brain that swinging wouldn't hurt anymore, but nobody puts that part in the highlight reel. Next up, well, there's tough, there's unfair, and then there's watching your ball roll all the way back to your feet after a perfectly good putt. May 2025. The NAIA Women's Golf National Championship at Eagle Crest Golf Club in Ypsilanti, Michigan. Someone on the grounds crew cut the hole on the par 5 fifth in a spot so brutal, it turned a reachable par 5 into a horror show. Reports later suggested the pin was placed 3 yards from its intended location because someone misread the diagram. 3 yards. That's all it took. The video went nuclear. A college golfer putts uphill, the ball lips out, then rolls all the way back to her shoes. You can hear her whisper, "please," before putting her hands on her hips in defeat. Golf Twitter lost its mind. Out of 155 players, 90 recorded double bogey or worse. There were 47 bogeys, just 15 pars, and 3 lonely birdies. The hole averaged nearly 2 strokes over par. Even Phil Mickelson chimed in, joking he had a suggestion, a nod to his infamous moving ball stunt at the 2018 US Open at Shinnecock. The NAIA apologized, calling it an incorrectly placed pin and promising it wouldn't happen again. Sound familiar? In 2023, the NCAA had to scrap an entire round of the D3 Women's Championship over the exact same issue. 2 national championships, 2 impossible pins, 2 apologies. At some point, you'd think somebody would double-check the diagram. Now, here's a question nobody wants to ask out loud. When a retired golfer announces a comeback the same month she signs an equipment deal, is it really about the golf? In March 2026, Michelle West dropped the news that she'd be returning to competitive golf for the first time since 2023. 2 events, the Mizuho Americas Open, a tournament she hosts, and the US Women's Open at Riviera, using the final year of her winner's exemption from 2014. The story wrote itself. Former Prodigy 2014 champion, mother of 2, one last ride at an iconic venue. Golf fans ate it up. Then, weeks later, McLaren Golf announced Michelle as one of 3 ambassadors and investors for their brand new equipment line, alongside Justin Rose and Ian Poulter. She'd be gaming their Series 1 irons at both events. Suddenly, the fairy tale comeback had a price tag attached. McLaren gets a beloved name swinging their $375 per club irons on national TV during a major championship. Michelle gets an investment stake in a British supercar brand, breaking into golf. Everybody wins, except maybe the narrative. And about McLaren, a company famous for building million-dollar hypercars now making golf irons? Justin Rose switched to their clubs the same week they launched, eerily similar to his Hanma deal in 2019, which fell apart within a year. Michelle herself hasn't played a competitive round in nearly 3 years. She admitted she had to relearn how to practice. Is this a genuine farewell tour or a product launch disguised as one? The timing makes it really hard to separate the two. Next up, of all the people you'd expect to get caught in a cheating scandal, a golf influencer with 11 million followers and cameras pointed at her from every angle probably isn't one of them. November 2025. The Internet Invitational, a YouTube tournament backed by Barstool Sports and Bob Does Sports with a $1 million prize on the line. 6 episodes, 20 million views, and the kind of drama no scriptwriter could have planned. In the alternate shot finale, cameras caught Paige pressing down fescue grass around her teammate Milosi Togasala's ball in the rough on the 9th hole. Togasala stepped up and ripped a brilliant shot from the improved lie. Barstool founder Dave Portnoy didn't miss a beat. Did Paige put that on a tee for you? When confronted on the spot, Spiranak didn't deny it. She broke down in tears, insisting she thought tall grass counted as a loose impediment. A former Division I college golfer who's played in pro events, not knowing that rule raised more than a few eyebrows. She disappeared from social media for nearly 2 weeks. When she finally resurfaced, she called it the worst hate she'd received in 10 years online. Tens of thousands of death threats, people telling her to end her life. DMs so severe her team discussed filing a restraining order. All over a rules mistake in a YouTube tournament, her team lost the hole anyway, and ultimately lost the event. But the internet had already picked its villain. Next up, the 2015 Solheim Cup at Golf Club St. Leon Rot in Germany. It's the final day of four-ball matches, and things are about to explode. Here's the setup. Allison Lee, a rookie playing in the biggest team event in women's golf, is paired with Brittany Lincecum for Team USA. They're going head-to-head against Europe's Suzanne Pettersen and Charlie Hull. And the match is all square on the 17th hole. Lee steps up for a 12-foot birdie putt to win the hole. She misses, leaving the ball just 18 inches from the cup. A distance so short it's almost always conceded in match play. As Pettersen and Hull begin walking off the green, Lee assumes the putt has been conceded. She picks up her ball, but then Pettersen speaks up. "We didn't concede that putt." Chaos erupts. Officials step in and confirm that, under the rules, Team USA loses the hole. The Europeans go one up heading into the final hole. Lee, visibly shaken, can't believe what's just happened. Even Charlie Hull, Pettersen's teammate, is brought to tears by the uproar. The Americans are furious. The Europeans are divided, and there are literal tears on the course. Pettersen was technically within her rights to enforce the rule. But many, including U.S. captain Julie Inkster and European legend Laura Davies, labeled the move as unsportsmanlike. Inkster called it a disgrace. Davies didn't hold back either, saying, "That's not how we play the game." But the controversy didn't end there. This moment lit a fire under Team USA. Trailing 10-6 going into the singles matches, they pulled off the biggest comeback in Solheim Cup history, winning the entire thing. Gimmigate wasn't just about a missed putt. It became a turning point that proved sometimes a little controversy is all the motivation you need. Which brings us to this next one. Because there's nothing worse than when your biggest opportunity gets ruined by someone else's mistake. And we're about to see exactly how devastating that can be. July 2023, U.S. Women's Open at Pebble Beach. We've got Nathakrita Vongtavilap, a 20-year-old rookie from Thailand, making her debut at one of golf's most prestigious tournaments. She's been having an incredible year. Runner-up finish in Thailand, another top 6 finish right after that. This is her moment. Her first U.S. Women's Open at legendary Pebble Beach, no less. She starts her round on the back 9 and things are going perfectly. She makes a birdie, makes a bogey, sitting even par through 5 holes. For a rookie in her first major at this level, that's exactly where you want to be. But then something happens that has absolutely nothing to do with her golf swing. Her caddy, Jinsup Kim, is doing what caddies do. Helping with distances, reading the course, supporting his player. Seems normal enough, right? But he makes a decision that's about to end their week before it even gets started. So he pulls out a rangefinder. At most LPGA Tour events, totally fine. But at the US Women's Open, it is absolutely forbidden. First time, 2-stroke penalty. Not great, but manageable. The second time, though? The officials walked over and delivered news that nobody wants to hear. Vongtavilap goes from playing solid golf in her major championship debut to packing her bags and heading home. All because her caddy pulled out the wrong piece of equipment at the wrong tournament. Coming in next, Anna Nordqvist and Brittany Lang are battling it out in a 3-hole showdown. And then something happens that's so small, so microscopic, that nobody even sees it in the real time. Not the players, not the officials walking with them, not even the thousands of fans watching from just feet away. Nordqvist is in a fairway bunker on the second playoff hole. She takes her stance, gets ready to hit, and her club just barely brushes the sand. We're talking about a touch so light it wouldn't disturb a butterfly, but in high-definition slow motion? That's a whole different story. Replay reveals that as Nordqvist swung, her club barely brushed the sand. But under the rules of golf, even the slightest grounding of the club in a bunker is a 2-stroke penalty. Oh, and if you thought this was it, you're wrong, because here's where the real drama begins. The USGA Rules Committee chose to notify Nordqvist, but it was absolutely the worst timing ever. She wasn't told immediately. Instead, the news came after she hit her approach shot on the par 5 18th hole, the final playoff hole, but before Lang played her 3rd shot. This delay in communication left Nordqvist blindsided, forcing her to process the penalty in the middle of one of the most crucial moments of her career. It also meant Lang was made aware of the penalty as she prepared for her next shot, giving her a clear strategic advantage. Critics were quick to call out the USGA, arguing the timing disrupted the flow of the playoff and impacted the fairness of the competition. This penalty basically handed the US Women's Open to Brittany Lang. And while Lang played great golf, Her biggest moment was overshadowed by a controversy that had nothing to do with her. But anyway, this is something so embarrassing that it makes everything else on this list look like minor inconveniences. 2023 LPGA's Hilton Grand Vacations Tournament of Champions at Lake Nona Golf and Country Club. This is the season opener featuring 29 of the tour's recent champions. These are the absolute best players in women's golf, the ones who've earned their way into this exclusive field. But when they arrive at the clubhouse, they discover something so shocking, so unbelievably insulting that it becomes a social media firestorm within hours. There's no locker room for them. None. Zero. The men's locker room? Oh, that's being kept open for public restroom use and hospitality guests, because apparently random VIPs need access to facilities more than the actual competitors do. Players are literally changing clothes in parking lots. At a championship tournament in 2023, Jessica Korda points out that the exact same thing happened in 2022, meaning this wasn't some one-time mistake, it was a pattern. Matilda Castren says, "You can't imagine something like this playing out on the PGA Tour." And she's absolutely right. You'd never see the Masters champion getting dressed next to a Prius. After the backlash explodes, they scramble to bring in 36 temporary lockers, but by then the damage is done. Up next. Okay, let's rewind to 1998. Say Ri Pak, just 20 years old and a rookie on the LPGA Tour, found herself on the biggest stage in women's golf, the US Women's Open. She had already won 3 tournaments that year, but now she was locked in an 18-hole playoff at Black Wolf Run, facing amateur Jenny Chua Siriporn with everything on the line. The pressure was intense, and on the 18th hole, something unexpected was about to happen. Here is what went down. Pak's ball found itself in a precarious position, sitting in a water hazard. The usual move? Take the penalty, drop the ball, and try to salvage the hole. But Pak wasn't having it. This was her moment, and she wasn't going to back down. With the entire golf world watching, Pak made her decision. She calmly removed her shoes and socks, rolled up her pants, and stepped into the hazard. The silence was deafening. The crowd couldn't believe it. The ball was partially submerged, the kind of lie that could ruin even the best player's round. And yet, Pak stood there, unshaken, analyzing her options like a seasoned pro. She lined up the shot, her focus razor sharp. The swing was swift, deliberate. Water splashed everywhere as her club connected perfectly with the ball. The crowd held its breath as the ball soared through the air, landing safely back in play. The gallery erupted in cheers, realizing they had just witnessed something extraordinary. But the best part? She wasn't done yet. Pak held her nerve through the rest of the hole and carried the playoff into sudden death, where she ultimately triumphed. At just 20 years old, she became the youngest US Women's Open champion in history, and only the second rookie to win the title. That shot from the water became legendary. They literally showed this shot on Korean TV with their national anthem playing. Yes, a golf shot. With the national anthem. That's how big this was. All right, on to the next. It is 2013, and this girl is in the middle of the biggest tournament of her career, one of golf's most prestigious majors, and something goes so wrong that she has to make a decision no professional golfer ever wants to make. It's the US Women's Open at Sebanak Golf Club. Jessica Korda is out there trying to contend in one of the sport's biggest events. She's 20 years old. This is her moment to shine on the world stage. But as she makes the turn after 9 holes, tensions are reaching a boiling point. Disagreements, arguments, and a working relationship that's completely falling apart in real time. The conditions are brutal. High winds, tough pin placements, players struggling all over the course. Only one player in the entire field is under par. Everyone's on edge, everyone's frustrated. So Korda looks around, spots her boyfriend Johnny Delpreet in the gallery following her round, and says 5 words that change everything. "Johnny, grab the bag, let's go." Just like that, her caddy Jason Gilroyd, who she'd been working with for about a year, is out of a job. Fired mid-round at a major championship, in front of thousands of spectators and TV cameras. And, hate to say it, but it actually works. Korda shoots 40 on the front 9 with her regular caddy, then comes back and shoots 36 on the back 9 with her boyfriend carrying the bag. Next up, imagine showing up to your first tournament outside your home country. You've never played this type of golf before. You don't speak the language. And oh, by the way, the tournament you're entering, it's one of the biggest championships in women's golf. That's exactly where Hinako Shibuno found herself at the 2019 AIG Women's Open. What she does next is absolutely unthinkable. While most players are laser-focused, barely cracking a smile under the weight of a major championship, Shibuno, she's all smiles. Literally. Walking the course, chatting with her caddy, even waving to fans. They call her the Smiling Cinderella back in Japan. And it's easy to see why. But don't let the charm fool you, this Cinderella came to win. Fast forward to the final round, and the drama couldn't be higher. Lizette Salas, a seasoned veteran, shoots an incredible 7 under 65, finishing the week at 17 under par. The clubhouse lead is set. For Shibuno to win, she needs a birdie on the 72nd hole. The tension builds as she steps onto the green. She lines up her putt, an absolute must-make. And then, boom! The ball rockets off her putter, slams the back of the hole, hops slightly and drops. Just like that, Hinako Shibuno, an unknown rookie, wins a major championship in her very first attempt. And you know how she celebrated? With a smile, pure Shibuno style. Up next, we're at the 2025 Black Desert Championship, and Perrine Delacour is having the kind of week that dreams are made of. A stunning 60 in the second round that had everyone losing their minds. She's right there in contention, sitting pretty at 7 shots back going into Saturday. But then the 18th hole happens. Now Delacour's out there playing her third round, and something goes wrong. Something she doesn't even realize at first. She's working on her shot, trying to get the ball in a better position, and boom, she crosses a line she didn't mean to cross. And here's where it gets wild though. The round ends. She walks off the course, could have just headed to the clubhouse, signed her card, and nobody would have been the wiser. But that's not what happens. Instead, Delacour does something that'll blow your mind. She marches straight to the officials and basically says, "Hey, I think I messed up back there on 18. Can you believe that? She turns herself in. The officials look into it and sure enough, Rule 8.1 violation. She improved her lie, which is a big no in professional golf. 2-stroke penalty. Just like that, her par becomes a double bogey. And her decent round of 1 over turns into a brutal 3 over 75. This completely tanks her position. Remember, she was in striking distance after that incredible 60? Well, now she's tied for 58th going into Sunday. Her chances of winning her first LPGA Tour title? Gone. Just like that. Next up, takes us to November 2024, the Annika Tournament at Pelican Golf Club in Florida. To when one of golf's biggest stars finally reaches her breaking point. So the whole sport pays attention. Charlie Hull again, and she is having a solid week, sitting pretty going into the weekend. But something's been building all day long, and it's got nothing to do with her scorecard. She's out there with Nelly Korda, 2 of the fastest players on tour, playing as a twosome. Should be a quick, smooth round, right? Perfect conditions, no weather delays, just pure golf. But as the hours tick by, something's going very wrong. They start their round at a normal time, but as they get deeper into the back 9, the sun starts getting lower and lower. By the time they reach the 18th hole, they're basically playing in the dark. 5 hours and 38 minutes later, they finally finish their round. For a twosome, in perfect weather. And why? Because of the slow play. Hull walks off that green absolutely steaming mad. She doesn't just complain about slow play, she proposes a solution so extreme that it would literally end careers. We're talking about a punishment so harsh that players would lose everything they've worked for, and some of the biggest names in golf actually agree with her. Which brings us to this next one. This story has everything. Drama, speculation, and a rule so brutal it's feared across the LPGA. It all started with the 2007 Jin tribute, hosted by none other than Annika Sorenstam. By the time Michelle reached the 16th hole in the first round, she was struggling big time. Her score? A painful 14 over par, and she was dangerously close to the LPGA's dreaded rule of 88. For non-members, shooting 88 or higher in a round means an automatic ban from LPGA events for the rest of the year. With just 2 holes to go, Michelle was 2 bogeys away from disaster. And then she withdrew. The reason? Her wrist injury, which she said had been bothering her since a fall earlier that year. On the surface, it made sense. She'd been dealing with wrist issues all season. But the timing? That's where things got tricky. Fast forward 2 days later, and Michelle is spotted back on the course. Not struggling, not resting, practicing. Yep, The same player who withdrew mid-round was now preparing for the upcoming LPGA championship. The golf world exploded with speculation. Was the injury real? Or was it just a way to dodge the rule of 88 and avoid a humiliating score? Even Annika Sorenstam, usually the picture of diplomacy, wasn't having it. She publicly slammed Michelle's withdrawal as disrespectful, not just to the tournament, but to the other players and the game itself. For a legend like Annika to call someone out like that, let's just say it was a big deal. Up next, with Carlota Ciganda, and there's something about her that's been driving the golf world absolutely insane. It's not her swing. No, it's something way more controversial. 2023 Evian Championship, one of golf's biggest majors. Ciganda is out there playing her second round when something happens that nobody saw coming. She gets hit with a slow play penalty, the kind of thing that's clearly in the rulebook and usually handled without drama. But Ciganda? She's not having it. She marches into the officials' tent and basically tells them, "I'm not accepting this." The officials look at her like she's lost her mind. They explain the rules, they stand their ground, but Ciganda digs in her heels. Then comes the moment. They hand her the scorecard with the penalty on it, and she just refuses to sign it. The officials are like, "Look, if you walk out of here without signing the correct card, you're done, disqualified." And you know what she does? She walks out anyway, gone from a major championship because she wouldn't accept a slow play penalty. But wait, don't leave yet, because this is just where this story gets started. We're talking about a pattern that gets so bad, fans start calling for her to be banned from the sport entirely. Fast forward to 2024, and here's a viral video that has the entire golf world losing their minds. Someone films her during a tournament, and when you see what she does, you'll understand why people are absolutely furious. She's on the 15th hole, final round, and she's got an approach shot to hit. Simple enough, right? Well, someone starts timing her from the moment it's her turn to play. The clock starts ticking. 40 seconds go by on the recommended time limit, but she's still standing over the ball. 1 minute, still not ready. She keeps going through practice swings, adjusting, hesitating. Finally, at 1 minute and 24 seconds, she pulls the trigger. That's more than double the time she's supposed to take. She won that tournament by 1 stroke. If officials had penalized her for slow play like they're supposed to, she wouldn't have won at all. Pretty unfair, right? If Charlie Hull had been on the green that day, she probably would have walked off again. And honestly, who could blame her? Coming in next, and what we're about to talk about hadn't been attempted in over half a century. May 2003, Annika Sorenstam, this Swedish golfer who's been absolutely dominating women's golf for years. She has won 43 LPGA tournaments, broken records left and right, and is basically untouchable in her sport. But she's got this crazy idea brewing in her head. Something that no woman has even tried to do since 1945. The Bank of America Colonial in Texas, a regular PGA Tour event where the world's best male golfers compete. And somehow, she gets a sponsor exemption to play in it. When the news breaks, the golf world goes completely insane. Sports media doesn't know how to handle it. Some people are calling it a publicity stunt. Others are saying she's going to embarrass herself in all of women's golf. The pressure is absolutely suffocating. But Annika Sorenstam shows up at Colonial Country Club anyway. First round, she steps up to the tee on the 10th hole. She makes 2 bogeys, gets 1 birdie on the par 3 13th, and shoots 71. 1 over par on the first day. The second round gets tougher. 5 bogeys, 1 birdie, and she finishes with a 74. When the dust settles, she misses the cut by just a few shots, tying for 96th place. But the numbers don't matter that much when you're showing that a woman could step onto a PGA Tour course and hold her own against the best male golfers in the world.